Corporal Jordan Rell stood still as a statue, hands behind his back, eyes scanning the glowing crystal walls of the Zalari Palace. He had never seen a place so quiet and beautiful. The lights in the ceiling floated like slow-moving stars, and strange, peaceful music played from nowhere. He didn't belong here, but not really. He was just security for Earth's first diplomatic team on the alien planet Virelia. His job was to stand straight, stay quiet, and look serious. Nothing more, but everything changed when she looked at him. Princess Sayla, the silent jewel of Virelia. She sat on a raised platform at the far end of the hall, surrounded by tall alien guards in silver robes. Her skin shimmered like pearl, her eyes deep violet. Her face was calm, perfect, emotionless, like a statue carved from moonlight. No one had heard her voice in 12 years. Not one word. Not even the Zalari, who communicated through telepathy. Everyone said she had locked. Her mind shut after the Great War that killed her family. The room was filled with important people, Zalari nobles, Earth diplomats, scientists, soldiers, translators. But Princess Sayla sat silent, as she always had, watching the ceremony like she wasn't really there. Until she saw Jordan. At first, he thought he was imagining it. Her eyes met his across the wide hall, her head tilted slightly. He frowned, unsure. Then it happened. She stood up. Gasps echoed through the hall. Zalari rarely stood during formal gatherings unless they were about to speak. Sayla's guards looked nervous, unsure of what to do. A few of the Earth diplomats stood as well, thinking something important was about to happen. And then she spoke, out loud, in English. You were there. The words came soft, broken, like a song remembered after years of silence. Every voice in the room fell silent, eyes turned toward her, then toward Jordan. He blinked. Sorry? He asked, confused. Sayla stepped forward, her eyes locked on his. You were there. In the fire. You held my hand. Jordan's breath caught in his throat. He wanted to say no, wanted to say she was mistaken, but something about her voice stirred a cold memory in the back of his mind. A dream, maybe. A nightmare from childhood. A glowing tower, screaming, heat. A small hand in his, but he had never been to Virelia. He was born on a Terran mining colony. That's what the record said. Or so he thought. The guards moved in quickly, surrounding, Sayla whispering, or more likely speaking with their minds. She ignored them, still staring at Jordan like he was the last star in a dark sky. One of the human diplomats, Ambassador Kron, stood and cleared his throat. Princess Sayla, if I may, what do you mean? Corporal Rell is part of our security team. He was there, Sayla said again, louder now. On the night the sky burned. He held my hand. He promised we would be safe. Jordan's hand started to shake. He had seen fires in his nightmares before. Red skies, sirens, a girl crying. Could those have been memories? Kron looked at Jordan, clearly uncomfortable. Corporal, do you remember anything? Jordan tried to speak, but nothing came out. He shook his head slowly. Sayla took another step forward. Her guards hesitated but did not stop her. For the first time in over a decade, she looked alive, awake. I remember you, she whispered. They tried to make me forget, but I remember. The room was silent again. No one dared speak. Even the Zalari, who usually moved with slow grace, stood frozen. And then Sayla smiled. A small, warm, human smile. I'm glad you came back. Jordan didn't know what to say. He didn't understand what was happening. All he knew was that the silent alien princess, who hadn't spoken to anyone in 12 years, was now looking at him like he was the center of her universe. And somehow, deep in his chest, he felt like something forgotten had just woken up. That night, the palace buzzed with rumors. The media started asking questions. Psychologists talked about memory trauma. Diplomats scrambled to understand what had just happened. But Jordan couldn't sleep. He kept seeing her face, hearing her voice. Not just from today, from somewhere, deeper, older. He pulled up his personal files, his adoption record. Orphaned during the Kesar 5 riots, it said. Found in the wreckage of a hospital when he was 5. But that wasn't Virelia. Or was it? Was something hidden from him? The next morning, Princess Selah made her second public appearance in a decade, and again she asked to see him. The next morning, Jordan Rell stood outside the princess's private garden, confused and nervous. 2 tall Zalari guards blocked the entrance. They had smooth blue skin and long silver robes, their eyes glowing faintly. They didn't speak, just stared at him. Then the door opened with a soft hum. A voice echoed from inside. Let him in. It was Princess Selah. Jordan stepped through the doorway. The garden was quiet and full of strange floating plants. Colorful flowers hovered in the air like butterflies. A soft mist curled around the path. In the middle of it, Princess Selah stood next to a tall crystal fountain. She wore a long white gown that shimmered like morning dew. Her eyes were kind, but something in them looked tired, like someone who had carried too many memories for too long. Jordan gave her a quick salute. You asked for me, Princess? She smiled slightly. Just Selah, please. Jordan lowered his hand. All right. Selah. They stood in silence for a moment. The fountain behind her made a soft, peaceful sound, like a calm stream. Why me? Jordan asked at last. Why are you speaking now? Why did you say you knew me? Selah sat down on a smooth stone bench and motioned for him to join her. Because I remember, she said. And I think maybe you do too, even if you don't know it yet. Jordan sat down slowly, still unsure. He had read about memory loss in childhood, trauma, false memories, but none of that explained why this alien princess who hadn't spoken in 12 years was suddenly acting like they shared a past. I've never been to Virelia, he said. Selah nodded. Not by name, but do you remember a tower that burned? A woman with silver hair? A song in the dark? Jordan's breath caught. His hands tightened. How do you know that? Because I was there. She reached into her sleeve and pulled out a small metal pendant. It was shaped like a sun, old and worn. She held it out to him. You gave me this. You said it would keep me safe. Jordan stared at it. Something pulled at his mind. A flash, a scream, a tiny hand holding his. Fire. Running. Fear. He reached out and took the pendant. It felt warm, familiar. I had dreams, he whispered. Nightmares I never told anyone. Selah looked at him gently. That wasn't a dream, Jordan. That was Kesar V. Before the colony was attacked, it was a hidden research center. My people were working on something powerful. Something that involved children, he asked. She looked away. Yes. I was part of a project. They were testing emotional connection between species, a bond between telepath and non-telepath. You were one of the test subjects. I was the other. Jordan felt like the air had gone. Still. You're saying we were part of an experiment? Selah nodded. Not cruel. Not like the bad ones in history. They wanted peace. Understanding. They wanted to see if feelings could cross the stars, not just thoughts. She looked back at him. And they were right. Because we did connect. I remember your voice in my mind when everything went wrong. I remember you holding my hand when the tower collapsed. Jordan looked at the pendant again. But why don't I remember clearly? Because your memories were locked. It was safer that way. Earth found you in the ruins and never knew you were part of the project. She paused. I thought you died. Jordan looked at her. Really looked. This wasn't just a princess. This was someone who had known fear like his, who had carried a wound for years without healing. You didn't speak for 12 years, he said quietly. Why? Selah took a deep breath. Because when the bond broke, it felt like Silence in my soul. I could hear others' thoughts, but nothing meant anything. No voice mattered after yours disappeared. Jordan said nothing. What could he say? She turned to him again. But now you're here. And when I saw you, something returned. My voice. My strength. Jordan looked around the garden. Everything felt still, like the world was holding its breath. What do we do now? He asked. Selah stood. We find the truth together. I think the project files are still somewhere, hidden in the old orbital archives. That's restricted, Jordan said. Even Earth diplomats need permission. Selah smiled for the first time. I'm still the princess. I can get us in. Jordan stood too, heart beating fast. You're serious about this? I've been silent for 12 years, Jordan. I'm done waiting. She took his hand, like she had long ago. And this time, he didn't let go. That night, whispers spread through the palace. The princess had spoken, again, and this time she was planning something bold, something human. The next morning, Jordan stood beside Princess Selah as they entered the orbital archives, a massive station floating above Virelia's surface. It looked like a shining silver ring, spinning slowly against the stars. It wasn't easy to get. Here. Selah had used her royal access codes to override the guards and locked security doors. Even her own people were nervous. The archives held secrets from before the war, things most Zalari wanted forgotten. But Selah was done staying quiet. They walked down a glowing hallway, walls covered in pulsing data lights. Drones hovered above, scanning their faces and following their movement. Everything was too quiet. Are you sure we'll find anything here? Jordan asked. Selah nodded. The memory files from the Empathy Project were stored here, hidden, but not deleted. And you trust the system to still keep it after all these years? I don't trust the system, Selah said. I trust the truth, and I trust you. Jordan looked at her, surprised. She sounded stronger than before. The more she spoke, the more she seemed like a leader, not a silent symbol. They reached a tall silver door. Selah pressed her hand to a glowing panel. The door opened with a soft hiss. Inside was a small room filled with floating holographic files. Thousands of them. Glowing symbols danced in the air like fireflies. We need project name Echo Bond. File year 4532, Selah said. The system responded with a hum. A small set of files floated toward them, wrapped in golden light. Jordan reached out and they unfolded before his eyes. Video clips, documents, scanned reports, neural scans. He stared. There he was, himself as a child, maybe 5 years old, sitting beside a young Selah in a small, bright room. They were holding hands, laughing. A strange device was attached to their heads. The video played with sound. This is day 19 of subject pair 4A. Emotional sync at 84%. Human subject shows strong protective behavior. Zalari subject shows empathy spikes. Jordan's chest tightened. He watched another clip. The two children were sitting under a fake tree, looking at stars through a glass dome. If you ever get scared, little Selah whispered, just squeeze my hand. Promise? Jordan's younger voice said. Promise. The video faded. The room was quiet. Jordan looked at Selah. Her eyes were wet with emotion. They tried to erase it, she said softly. Tried to make me forget you. But I never did. Jordan couldn't speak. He felt a lump in his throat. The memories weren't dreams. They were real. She had been real all along. Why was it hidden? He asked. Because not everyone believed in the project, Selah replied. Some thought it was dangerous, that a bond between species would make us weak. But it didn't make us weak, Jordan said. It made us human. Selah smiled. And something more. Suddenly, an alarm blared. Unauthorized access detected. Red lights flashed in the room. The door behind them sealed shut. "We're locked in," Jordan said, eyes scanning for danger. "No," Sayla said. "We're being watched." A hologram appeared in the air, a tall Zalari elder, face stern and cold. "Princess Sayla," the image said, "you were warned not to open those files." "And I ignored it," Sayla said boldly. "Because the truth matters. You are endangering our peace with Earth, endangering your own safety." "What's dangerous is a lie," she replied. "He's not just a human soldier. He's a survivor. He's part of our past." The elder looked at Jordan. "Your presence is a threat." Jordan stepped forward. "I'm not a threat. I'm a memory you tried to bury, but you can't bury the past forever." The hologram flickered, then disappeared. The door is unlocked. The alarm went silent. Sayla exhaled slowly. "They're afraid. They know this changes everything." "So, what now?" Jordan asked. Sayla looked determined. "Now we show the galaxy, we show them what connection really means." 2 days later, a press conference was held in the palace. Princess Sayla stood before the galaxy's media, human, Zalari, and other species, and told her story. She spoke of the war, of the project, of the day she lost her voice, and of the boy who gave it back. She played the video files, showed the pendant, told them about the promise. Jordan stood beside her, silent but proud. The galaxy listened. Some were shocked, some were angry, others were inspired. One reporter asked, "What does this mean for Virelia's future?" Sayla answered clearly, "It means silence is no longer power. It means we need to stop hiding behind tradition. If a human child and a Zalari girl can connect, then so can our worlds." "What about him?" another asked, pointing to Jordan. "What is he now?" She looked at Jordan. "He is my friend, my past, and maybe my future." That night, alone in the garden, Jordan asked her a quiet question. "Do you ever wish none of this happened?" Sayla shook her head. "No, because even in pain I found you." He smiled. "And you never stopped talking since." She laughed softly. "No, and I don't plan to." They sat in silence, the good kind this time, as stars blinked above. The palace was no longer quiet. News of Princess Sayla's speech spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Every media channel, every political council, every major alliance talked about the Zalari princess who spoke after 12 years of silence, and the human who brought back her voice. Some praised her bravery, others were furious. The Virelian High Council, made of ancient, cold-eyed Zalari elders, called it a disruption of sacred order. Sayla had broken traditions. She had shared classified information, and worst of all, she had stood beside a human as her equal. Many elders saw it as betrayal. Sayla didn't care. She kept speaking, to reporters, to young Zalari citizens, to off-world ambassadors. She shared more memories, more files, more truth. But trouble was growing. Jordan noticed the changes first. The guards around Sayla became more tense. Their eyes watched him longer. Some staff began whispering and avoiding eye contact. Even friendly faces in the palace turned cold. "You think they'll try to silence you again?" Jordan asked. Sayla looked out over her city from the tall crystal balcony. "They might, but I won't go quiet this time." Jordan placed a hand on the hilt of his sidearm, a simple energy pistol worn by all Earth guards. "Then I won't let them." She smiled. "I know." Later that night, a secret message reached Jordan's comlink, a voice-only transmission. "She's in danger. You both are. Leave now." "Who is this?" he asked. "A friend. You have 10 hours. After that, they'll act." The message cut off. Jordan rushed to Sayla's chambers. She was alone, sitting by the fountain again, the same one where they first spoke. Her long white gown floated softly in the night wind. "We have to go," he said. "Someone warned me." "I already know," Sayla said calmly. "Then why are you still here?" "Because running means they win. If I leave, they'll say I was weak, afraid. I need to show them I'm not. Jordan clenched his fists. And if they come for you? Then we face them together. The next day it happened. During a public speech in the palace square, hundreds of Zilari citizens gathered to hear her. Young ones held signs, some even spoke aloud, copying her, using their voices instead of telepathy. It was peaceful. Until the sky darkened. 3 black Zilari dropships landed behind the palace. Soldiers in red armor stepped out. Not the royal guard. These were the Silence Order, an elite force loyal to the High Council, trained to protect tradition by any means. Jordan saw them first and shouted to Sayla, "Get down!" Blaster fire erupted. Screams filled the air. The peaceful crowd scattered. Jordan fired back, shielding Sayla with his body as they ran behind cover. A plasma bolt hit the wall near them, showering sparks. "This is what they're afraid of," Sayla shouted. "Truth that moves people. Right now I'm more afraid of getting vaporized." They ducked into the palace halls, doors sealed behind them. Sayla activated a hidden panel, revealing a secret passage. "Come on. There's a place I can reach them all, a mind broadcast chamber." "You're going to speak during a siege?" "It's the only time it matters." They reached the chamber, a circular room with glowing walls, built long ago by ancient Zilari. It was designed for planet-wide telepathic messages, but Sayla had reprogrammed it. Now it could broadcast voice. She stepped into the center. Jordan stood at the door, guarding her, as the Silence Order approached. Sayla closed her eyes and began to speak. Her voice echoed, first in the chamber, then across every screen, speaker, and device in the city. "My name is Sayla, daughter of voice and silence. 12 years ago, I lost someone, not just a friend, but a part of myself. Today, I found him again. Not in blood, not in species, but in truth. The past you were told was not the whole truth. I was part of a bond, one that crossed language, species, war. And I will not be silent anymore." Outside, the soldiers paused. Citizens listened. Even the High Council, watching from their towers, couldn't look away. "This is not just about me," she continued. "It's about all of us, all species. What connects us is not power, not law, but feeling, memory, voice." Jordan watched, heart pounding. Even he felt her words deep in his bones. "I choose my own future. I choose unity. I choose to speak, not because I must, but because I can." Then she looked into the camera. "And if I fall for it, let the stars remember. I spoke." The Silence Order stopped. Their leader lowered his weapon. "Stand down," he said. His soldiers hesitated and obeyed. The fight was over, not with guns, but with words. Later, as night fell, Jordan and Sayla stood on the palace roof, looking at the stars. "You didn't just speak," Jordan said. "You made the galaxy listen." Sayla smiled tiredly. "Maybe now they'll start speaking too." "And what about the council?" "They'll try to hold on to the old ways, but things are changing. Slowly." Jordan nodded. "You know," he said. "You never asked me why I came to Varelia in the first place." "Why did you?" He looked at her. "I was searching for something. I didn't know it had a name, or a voice." She touched the pendant around her neck, the one he gave her as a child. "Now you know." Days after the attack, Varelia was no longer the same. The Silence Order had been pulled back. The High Council, once feared and untouchable, was now silent. Across the city, more and more Zilari citizens began speaking out loud, copying their princess. Schools added Terran language classes. Shops played music with lyrics. For the first time in centuries, Varelia was filled with sound, voices, laughter, even arguments. It wasn't perfect, but it was alive. And Princess Sayla had become the heart of it all. Jordan stood on the palace balcony. watching a group of Zilari children play in the garden below. They were laughing, not through thoughts but with real sound. It was strange and beautiful. Sayla joined him, her long silver robe fluttering in the breeze. "You're quiet today," she said, teasing. Jordan smiled. "Just enjoying the noise." She laughed softly and leaned beside him on the railing. "I used to be afraid of sound. Now I never want it to stop." "You made all this happen," Jordan said. "You broke their silence." "No," she replied. "We did. You reminded me I had a voice." He turned toward her, serious now. "What happens next? You've changed Virelia, but the rest of the galaxy is watching. Some don't like what they see." Sayla nodded slowly. "There will be pressure from the old powers, but I've already made a decision." She held up a crystal tablet and handed it to him. Jordan scanned the screen. His eyes widened. "A joint diplomatic academy? On Virelia?" "Yes," Sayla said. "For Zilari, humans, and others. A place to learn together, not just politics, but connection. Speaking, listening, empathy. The galaxy needs it." Jordan looked at her with admiration. "And you want me to run it?" "With me," she said. "I'm a soldier, not a teacher. You were the first to teach me what it meant to be heard." He didn't answer right away, but deep down, he already knew his answer. 2 months later, the Voice Bridge Academy opened on Virelia's second moon. It was built inside an ancient dome once used for war strategy. Now it echoed with languages from across the stars. Zilari, Terran, Zaric, even silent signing from species without mouths. And standing at the center were Jordan and Sayla. Together. On the Academy's opening day, hundreds of students and leaders gathered. Journalists, scientists, peacekeepers. Everyone came to witness this strange, powerful moment. Jordan gave a short speech. He kept it simple. "I don't know much about politics, but I know this. Words matter. The right voice at the right time can change a life. It changed mine." Then Sayla stepped forward. The crowd quieted instantly. "I once believed silence was strength, that emotions were dangerous. But I was wrong. Silence without truth is fear. And now I choose voice." The crowd erupted in applause, not with minds, but with claps, shouts, and cheers. That night, under the stars, Sayla and Jordan sat beside a quiet lake near the academy. Firelights floated across the water, small glowing creatures from Virelia's oceans. They looked like dancing stars. "It's strange," Jordan said, "how everything started with just one moment. You looking at me across a room. I didn't know what I'd find," she admitted, "but something in me just remembered. Do you think we were meant to meet again?" She looked at him with a soft smile. "I don't believe in fate, but I believe in choice, and I would choose you again, every time." Jordan laughed. "Even when I talk too much?" "Especially then." As the night grew quiet, Sayla rested her head on his shoulder. They didn't need to speak anymore. Not because they had no words, but because they had so many and none of them were rushed. After a long pause, Jordan spoke. "Do you remember what you told me as kids? That if I was ever scared, I should squeeze your hand?" She reached out, fingers curling around his. "I still mean it." And he held on. Epilogue. Years passed. The academy grew. Thousands came and went, learning not just languages but how to understand each other. Sayla became a queen, not the kind who ruled with fear, but with wisdom and presence. She kept her title, but most just called her the first voice. Jordan never returned to the army. He became a symbol of unity, not for being perfect, but for being human in all the best ways. And sometimes, late at night, the students would Walk past their old garden and hear two people talking under the stars. One alien, one human, changing the galaxy with words.